Hey folks, how you doing? Back in with another garage sale haul video because we are hot in the middle of garage sale season right now. I did the locals, and I was done those by 8 o'clock in the morning, and then I checked Facebook Marketplace, and up popped a town wide that was about 25 minutes, 30 minutes away from here, so I headed in to do that. Just gonna go over the highlights of it. Well, pretty much everything. Got some good stuff, I'm not gonna lie. Garage sales are kind of weak, have been for a while, especially when it comes to things like records. But you know, the key to this is always ask. The guy had basically tools out, and I noticed that he had a Harley, and I basically thought, this guy might have some records. And sure enough, when I asked, he's like, yeah, I got a box, I'll bring it out. And he's like, I sold the Thorenz turntable like last year, which sucks because that would have been great. But hey, I still got records out of it. No heavy hitters, but just basically the bread and butter stuff, classic rock type stuff, some soul that sells in the store consistently. So it was worth picking up. And I'll just go through them real quick. MJ, Journey, Touche, Beck. It's kind of scary how many of these artists have passed away recently. Beck's gone, unfortunately. There's the Eagles, Manhattans, Genesis, Fleetwood Mac's Rumors, which I can't keep in stock. Duran Duran, Santana, Springsteen. There's another one who recently passed away, Gordy. There's another one who recently passed away, Tina. Bob Seger. There's another one who passed away not too long ago. I think it was like 2-3 years ago. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Harder to find that record, actually. Floyd's. Dark Side with the stickers stuck on the outside, which I kind of like. America, Steely Dan, Rod Stewart, Bill Thorpe, Supertramp, Katie Lyde from Steely Dan. It's a great record. Eagles, Dire Straits, Bob Seger, Zeppelin, The Band, Pete Tosh, Johnny Winter, another Fleetwood Mac, and another Steely Dan. A great lot of records. Pretty happy to pick that up. Put that in there like that. So that was pretty much it for my local, and from there I headed out to Dane City, which is like about 30 minutes away from here. Used to be a fairly small town, is expanding rapidly right now. There was tons of construction, and I went through, and the first thing I hit was this guy who's had his little stuff out, and I got this little guy. I'm a sucker for these. This is a Canadian made one. It's probably 1970s or 80s. It's a bank, but it's a mechanical bank. It is a slot machine, and it does, you know, spin work, which is kind of fun. I don't know if it pays out or not because I haven't done it yet. But you can put the coins inside there or inside there, and tons of fun. People love these. I've had them before. I sell them for, I don't know what, like $50, $40-50 type thing. So I decided to pick that one up. I think he even wanted 20 for it, and I believe I just said okay. This next group of stuff all came from one person, and this was the person who actually advertised the ad on Facebook Marketplace. I should have went there first. They do locker storage, locker cleanouts, and I got there after a lot of stuff had been bought, she told me. But there was a bunch of comics there, but they were a little too new for me, and she wanted $2 a piece, so I sort of passed on that, which I know the comic guys are screaming right now, but honestly, it was just too new for me. But what they did have is a stack of vintage Playboys and vintage Penthouse. I can show you the Playboy covers, I can't show you the Penthouse covers, but they're over there in that box, and there are roughly, I think, 25-30 Penthouse, and there's well over 40 Playboys. And they range primarily in the 1970s. There was a small stack here of like anniversary ones. That's great. Peter Max covered from January 2000, so the millennium year. When the millennium was a big deal. But the rest are all from the 70s, and I've gone through most of them and have found that everyone I looked at had their centerfolds in there, which is key to Playboy stuff. In the past, 70s Playboys, nobody was interested in them except for like celebrity covers, but that has changed in the last little while. There seems to be a younger demographic who are getting into them now. They like the photography, and honestly, I know it sounds corny, but they do like the articles. because there was great writing in here. The one thing, you know, you can say about Hef was that the guy did have some taste. So he, you know, previewed a lot of writers got their start at Playboy. I mean, there's stuff being put out there. So it's a great snapshot of pop culture from especially the 60s, but the 70s, and then in the 80s it started tapering out as they were sort of chasing more of the skin type stuff that Penthouse was putting out. The Penthouse stuff, people are interested in that too. It is, again, I couldn't sell Penthouse things like 10 years ago, and now there seems to be a little more interest in it. So I got a whole stack of those. Basically, it was like $2-3 a piece across the board. And I know some people are like, that's a crazy price to pay, but it isn't. You know, I'll sell even the average one at $10. So to me, that's a pretty good return. I'm happy with that. The other stuff that was there is these. I got these roughly for $1 a piece. They're all advertising. Great, the first one I pull out doesn't have advertising on it. Hangers, which for most people is like, what's the kind of the point in that? But advertising pieces are great. People who collect vintage clothing love these things. I actually started using them on the racks initially because I did have a bunch of them, and people kept asking to buy them off me. I didn't sell any of them, but I probably will sell these. That's kind of why I picked these up. And some of them are for companies that are long gone, like that one's from Stratford, Ontario. And again, it's probably local furriers. But yeah, the old hangers, they're kind of just great additions, especially the advertising ones, to say a vintage store. There's Up to Date Tailoring Company. There's an older dry cleaning one. Again, I paid around $1 a piece, and my rule of thumb is like, if you're buying anything at $1 a piece, you're gonna make money, unless you're really bad at this. And yeah, I've been doing this, well, I've had the store for 17 years, but I've been doing this my whole life, so I'm comfortable that I'm okay at this. So I think at $1 a piece, you can't really go. Now this one I paid up a little bit more for. Can't show you the whole deal because I've got all these piled in there. This is how they came out of the car today before I did this. This is an old, probably 1960s era beer case, and it is a cardboard case. The wooden crates, I've got lots of. Wooden crates last forever, and people kept them for all kinds of uses. These are harder to find. For every like 10 wooden crates, more like 20 wooden crates that come across, I'll find one cardboard beer case. And this is an early one. It's Blatt's beer. It's a U.S. beer crate. I find actually the U.S. brands more. I'm not a beer collector or any brewery-ana collector necessarily, but there's some cool stuff on there. Union made in Michigan. And yeah, they're solid. They're great little display pieces. And again, I've met people who use them for all kinds of things. They put their record collections in them. They put their vintage magazine collections in them because they look good on a shelf. Like that, just when you have it sat like that, looks good on the shelf. Unfortunately, Pam has put her sticker on there, but with little heat that should come off, hopefully without damaging anything, or I might just leave it and leave that up to the person who eventually gets it. That was $10. Pretty happy with that. These were something that I've told myself I've got to stop buying, but I am horrible at sticking to my word with regards to this stuff. I'm getting better with staying away from glass and china as such, because it's just, I mean, I do sell it on a fairly regular basis, but it's just takes up so much space and it's so fragile, and I have so much of it. So this is probably a 1950s to 60s era skate box with the skates inside it. Now the skates are a bit rough, but they are a nice pair of early skates. And again, this is as they say, man cave. I really hate that term, but anyways, man cave type stuff. They're display pieces for somebody who loves hockey. I have these up on the wall and just have the box in beside them, and it is a nice early box. Okay, there's no date on it, and Kara has written her name on the top. All right, Kara, there you go. You'll live on forever. But again, I think it was like $5. So again, can't really go wrong with that. The one thing I did probably go wrong with, and you won't see many YouTubers admitting to bad buys, I just referred to myself as a YouTuber. Wow, that's a step. There you go. There's the penthouse for $1 each. I guess I got those for $1 a piece. I think the Playboys, or she wanted more for them. I don't know. I should write this stuff down. I'm still going to make money on these, but it wasn't the best buy in the world from the same person. They are, Canada Post every year puts out a stamp yearbook. And from what I understand, you can buy them empty and then collect the stamps to put in, or you can buy them full of the stamps. I have sold the ones that are full for fairly good money in the past. These ones are all empty, but I think it was like $1 or $2 a piece. And they're such gorgeous books. They have their own little slip cases. Let's see if I can open one up here. Here's one from 2007. Full, they usually sell between $40 to $50. Empty, I'm hoping I can still get 10. But that was in there. They have space for all of the stamps, and you just put them inside there. They have the sort of the reproduction of it back there, and you put the actual stamp in there. So these ones sadly are all empty. If they had been full, it would have been a killer purchase. As such, I'll still make my money back over time. It'll take a longer time to sell these, or I might just throw them up on Marketplace to double my money as a lot and just be rid of them and write it off as something that next time don't bother buying them. So yeah, you know, sometimes I'll still make a little money, but it wasn't really worth spending the money to get them. You could spend that money better in you know, on something else later along. But there you go. I do still make more purchases, although there are people out there who are like, that seems to be all you do, and my wife included. So just some smalls I picked up along the way. This actually came from that same seller again, so did the one other thing. These are early tickets, probably, I'm gonna guess, because sadly there's no date stamped on any of these, that they're probably 1940s, like post-war, maybe earlier. It's hard to say, but it's the London and Port Stanley Railway, which was a tiny railway that I'll have to do some research to find out when it was done by. Just a stack of tickets, and they were, I think it was $5 for this whole stack, and there's probably 50, 60 of them in there, so a dime a piece, whatever, you know. I'll put them up on eBay at 10 a piece and sell them over time. As soon as I sell one, I've doubled my money. So worth picking up again. And then these guys, all these three came from the same garage sale. And these are 1980s McDonald's Muppets toys, which that's just the vehicles. But again, 50 cents. But this was my favorite find. And my favorite find in a while, because I don't find vintage Star Wars anymore at garage sales. I used to. That being said, like 10 years ago, not so much anymore. But this is an original Yoda, and he has his belt and his cape. He's missing his cane and snake, but I believe I know I have an orange snake and possibly a cane. So I might be able to put together a full one, and I can't tell which eye color, because there was an eye color variation. I believe those are the brown eyes, and I think they also did, it's either blue or bright orange. I can't remember. But it'd be a quick look on the internets, and there you go, 50 cents. What are you going to do? The cool thing about this was I asked the person, they thought they might have more. So I left my number with them. And then there was somebody else at the garage sale who was like, oh, you're looking for old action figures and stuff like that. They thought they had somebody, so I left my number with them too. So whenever you do that, you're just putting out a seed that might, you know, take root, and you'll get a call, you know, in a couple of weeks or a couple of months or even a year when that person is like gets to downsizing or doing whatever it is. Always, you know, have a pen and piece of paper with you so you can hand that out to the person write your name, write your number, write what it is you're looking for on it, and then once they've got it, you just kind of hope that they give you a call. I've had lots of calls like that over the years, so it's always well worth doing. That's, file that one along with the always ask at a garage sale, do you have whatever it is you want, you collect. Collect records, ask, hey, do you have any old records? They might have had them downstairs and forgot about them, or didn't want to drag them out because, they didn't know if they would sell or not. If they know it's sell, you're going to buy them, they might go get them. This was another one. It's a vintage, one of the vintage turtles. Some cool action thing, but it's accessories on there, which is kind of neat. I think, again, it was a quarter. And then this is kind of a neat thing, too, because this is early. This is a jigsaw puzzle, and it is, you get this free with one of these 3 items. Or no, I don't know. It's a bit vague, but I think if you buy Rexall's Milk of Magnesia toothpaste, that sounds lovely. Cleanso shaving cream or Rexall orderlies, which I do not know what that is. If you buy one of them, you get that in this puzzle for 25 cents. And I didn't check to see if everything's in there. There is no sheet to show you what the puzzle looks like, so it's a rando one. But still, that's early. I mean, I'm going to say that's probably 1920s. Just because I've had puzzles and advertising pieces, but it's a great advertising piece. Somebody who's into either puzzles, vintage advertising, or might collect stuff from different pharmacies. People do that. Old pharmacists collect old pharmacy stuff. So yeah, now this is one of my favorites. Sadly, it's not something I can actually sell online. I wish I could, because vintage perfumes and aftershaves and things like that are starting to go for some crazy money. And unfortunately, I can't ship liquids through the shipper that I use. In the States you can, but you have to ship any sort of liquids through ground, can't go through air. So that's how they're able to do it. But here in Canada, the shipper I use who does my stuff to the States will not do liquids of any kind. So these will be in the store, but I love some of these. Here's an old Halston one. They just did a doc on Halston, or a movie biopic on Halston not too long ago. So that's a great thing to have. Yardley Aquavelva. I think like at some point everybody's dad in the 70s used Aquavelva. And then, oops, don't spill. And then this one here is Trouble. And these are all from the 70s. They're just classic, maybe starting edge in the 1980s, but and they're all full, and they were $1 a piece, so buck a piece rule in full effect there. A couple of things, got a GNR cassette, and then that NWA CD is for my personal collection, because I am street, because nothing really does say street like a 52-year-old white guy who has a junk store in a small town. I am definitely NWA's target audience. But these were there. I haven't checked yet. I don't know if I think these are the 1990s versions. They're sitting right at the edge of where I wouldn't bother. Unfortunately, the Woody doesn't talk, but the Jesse does. It's got a lot of the accessories, and it's the accessories that are key to these. I mean, this sounds terrible, but worst case, the accessories here are worth far more than the whole doll themselves. So I picked them up because it was $1 for the 2, and this guy was along there as well. It's a buck. And then the last thing was this Timex Montreal Canadiens thing, I believe from the 1980s. It's like a little alarm clock. There you go. That's the word I was looking for. Alarm clock, or words. So yeah, that was basically it. Good group. I mean, I'm like I said, garage sales are so hit or miss now. I mean, it used to be you just went out, filled your van, and that was it. But now it's, in the last even 5 years, like since COVID hit, it changed everything. I mean, I don't know if it was people rediscovering collections that they'd left behind, but you don't see that much stuff, old stuff anyways, coming out anymore. And that's probably because, you know, back in the day when I started doing this, when I was a kid, 30 some odd years ago, good God, that's hard to say, this stuff wasn't that old, and it was just being put out there as stuff to get rid of. And now this stuff is old, and you know, it's harder and harder to find old stuff. Most people have gotten rid of it back in the day, and then collectors got a hold of it. Once they do, they don't let it out. But I digress, so I'm not gonna keep waffling on. Anyways, that's it. I hope you all are out there and having some good luck digging in some stuff. If you have any comments, please put them in the comment section. If you could like this video, if you do like it, you know, give me a thumbs up. If you don't, give me a thumbs down, and I can sort of, and maybe something in the comments that I can work on other than babbling, because I know I already do that. My wife tells me every day. So yeah, hope you all are able to find some good stuff in the next couple of weeks, and hopefully I'll have another video in a week's time from some more neat stuff I find along the way. All right, bye.